Good afternoon, Facebook community. Reporting to you live from the Potato Expo inside of the trade show here at the Eye. I'm Carah Hart for the Red River Farm Network. Joining me is Northern Plains Potato Growers Association President Donavon Johnson. Donavon succeeds former President Chuck Gunnarsson, who retired this summer. And Donavon, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, so it's your first Potato Expo. How are things going?
You know, this is a great opportunity to get together with so many people involved in the industry, whether it's on the national side, the vendors, growers that come here and trying to interact and figure out how to be better at what we do. The educational side has been tremendous, so it's a learning process. It's a great opportunity.
What have you been learning so far?
You know, yesterday, Potatoes USA spent all day on various topics that they've been focusing on, one of which is real potatoes, real performance. And so identifying ways that we can make the potato stand out as a energy food and not a couch potato concept. It's a big task, but the bottom line is there's a lot of nutrition in a potato. And so it fuels performance and doing those type of things. Talking on the international side, not just the domestic side, some of the challenges we have going on, but there's so many topics, there's so many outgrowths and out meetings that you can participate in to learn what's going on.
Transitioning a little bit back to your new role, you've been in this position just a little more than 6 months. What is your view, what in your view are the challenges and opportunities for potato growers in the Red River Valley?
You know, I will have to say, based on what has happened in the last year, things are a little easier as far as moving the product. Pricing is a little bit better because supply, the actual amount of supply is down. So the demand is good. Unfortunately, sometimes that's created by unfortunate circumstances in other areas. And mainly in this case, it's Europe and Wisconsin and other places, so we are taking advantage of that, but the challenges still exist, what they have been in the past. Trucking, moving the product out of the Northern Plains area to the end marketplaces is still a challenge. That's a little bit better because we have less product to move this year, but it has not been solved, and don't want to be complacent on that way. We still have international issues that come into play, both with Mexico and Canada to a certain degree. Again, that's not an issue this year because of the supply situation, but it comes down again to make sure that the growers are not exceeding the demand that exists out there when they grow their produce and the varieties. Another thing is what type of varieties. You know, there still needs to be work on the varieties that are resistant to a lot of the diseases and viruses and pests. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that work still happens. So that's probably the biggest challenge we have is the dollars that need to go into research, the shrinking pot sometimes that is available, whether it's on the federal level, the state level, the private sector level. There's just a lot still to be done in that area.
Switching gears a little bit, you have a background and a little bit of knowledge in trade, or at least trade relations, in your job prior to joining Northern Plains Potato Growers. But the last time you and I had a really long chat was maybe a few months ago when you'd first started, and we talked a little bit about trade, your take, and the discussions between Mexico and the U.S. and how that was going in the potato industry. Have there been any updates from our last conversation?
You know, the renegotiated NAFTA, USMCA, did not resolve the issue with tariffs on frozen products, fries. So that still exists. There's a tariff that exists there. On the fresh side, we can still only sell into the northern tier, if you will, of the 10 kilometers. So that has not been resolved. So essentially, our relationship as far as moving products from the U.S. into Mexico is the same as it's been. We'll continue to work on it, and there's certainly national organizations that are continuing to work on that issue also.
Trade's still definitely a big topic here at the Expo.
Sure, absolutely. You know, it's a situation that there's a lot of consumption that occurs in the U.S., but there's a lot of potatoes that are grown in the U.S. And certainly on the fresh side, it's a lot of that is consumed in the U.S., but when you get to the process side, a lot of that is exported out, and so we want to continue to make sure those markets remain open and remain competitive.
Well, Donavon, thank you again so much for joining me. And before we go, is there anything else potato growers or the potato industry need to know about you?
About me?
Yeah, you are a new face here at the Potato Expo this year.
I think it's my goal is to try and work on behalf of the growers, the shippers, the industry in the Northern Plains. Sometimes that's localized, regionalized. Sometimes involves on a national level. As you mentioned before, my background has been on the national level in addition to a statewide. So it's continuing to work to promote the industry, make it better, eat more spuds, and make sure you understand that it's a healthy food.
Once again, we've been visiting with Donavon Johnson with the Northern Plains Potato Growers Association. I'm Carah Hart reporting to you from the Potato Expo in Austin, Texas.